Anyway, let's start with the main event, Tom. As I've said to you before, I'm neither under or over. I'm perfectly whelmed by this main event. And Tom, give me something. Give me something to get really excited about with this matchup, if you've got that within you.
I have, Joe, because I just need to go back to last year and watched Glover Teixeira's last fight. An absolute barn burner, I believe winner of Fight of the Year.
Yeah.
According to the official Hold On I'm Talking Brother Awards. Incredible stuff. Glover looked phenomenal. Just minutes away from winning, reaffirming his place as the oldest champ in the UFC. And now he's back. And he's facing another young buck on a hot streak of his own, Jamahal Hill, a man with quite the highlight reel behind him. Thiago Santos, Johnny Walker, and Jimmy Crute all succumbed to knockout finishes. This is a good fight, Joe.
This is a good fight, you reckon? Oh, my word. Oh, fair play. Fair play. I would describe it as... It's the best they can do with what they've got. Like, it's not the fight that I would necessarily want to see. Obviously, Jamahal Hill is ranked number 7, currently at light heavyweight, whereas Glover is ranked at 2nd. I think it's fair to say this is not the fight that we necessarily wanted here, but it's the one that we've got. And I was going through it, and it is a classic striker versus wrestler matchup. I think that's fair to say. Oh.
Yeah, certainly. If you look at the track record of these guys, how they like to fight and their paths to victory, it seems like the definitive matchup. Of course, you've got the American boxer, the striker, versus the wily old vet with an anaconda choke.
Yeah. The thing with Glover compared to like Jamahal is that Jamahal's got like on the feet, and maybe overall he has like more things he can do, but Glover does like 4 things, but he does them really well. You know, he's got the left hook, he's got the left hook right uppercut combo. He's got like the flurry where he pushes you back to get to a single leg along the fence. Beautiful. He's got vicious ground and pound. Like his ground and pound is some of the most disgusting in the UFC. And he's a strong back taker as well. Like if there's any hint of taking the back, he'll take it. And he's really good at just like wearing you down. Whereas Hill, as you said, he's more in that boxing striking style. Long range striking, long stance. Switches stances as well, and he's got power out of both hands, meaning that like if you try and charge in, he has got that check hook off both sides that is going to catch you. He has more combinations, and having rewatched a couple of his fights this past week, he's a very good finisher, good flurry finisher. He follows you down, doesn't give you that space. You saw it in the Thiago Santos finish where he rocked him, and then it was just absolutely all over him. Like butter on toast. He was all over poor Thiago Santos. I will say, though, it's a very clear flaw, but if Jamahal wins this title match, he might be the most lopsided champion in terms of skill set.
Well, I don't know if you could say that, Joe, if he overcomes Glover Teixeira, a master of those skills that he's lacking. I mean, I don't know if you could come through a challenge like Glover and walk through the fire, which I think he's going to need to do, and still have that levied against you, this gaping hole in your skill set. Unlike, for example, our current middleweight champion, who managed to fight another striker in a kickboxing matchup, fellow Brazilian Poatan Pereira. Now, look, Joe, I think this is an interesting fight. I agree with what you're saying. He's not quite there, Hill. He's not bona fide contender. But he's the best they've got. Now, what he says when he's talking about his main strength, where he beats Glover, is he says it's in his mindset.
Oh.
And I don't know if you caught his interview, the UFC interviews before the fight. He was saying that his main frustration when talking about this mindset is he can't show you. He can't show you inside his brain because he sees things. He's got an extra sense the rest of us don't have in the way that he's able to measure the distance, see things coming, and adjust much faster than his opponents. And he feels like he's demonstrated that with those finishes in his recent 3 fights.
So it's his vision that he says is his reading of the game is what is his greatest strength.
Yeah, he used the phrase his strength of mind, his mindset. But then when describing it, he went on to talk about just what he sees. He sees everything. But you only have to go back to June of 2021.
Yeah, I was about to say, I know what I saw.
And he didn't see Paul the Bear Jew Craig coming in to pull guard. Which, Joe, let me tell you, I watched 1 minute of Paul Craig and I see that coming.
Yeah.
Jamahal Hill, he couldn't get out of the way. He got lured into that game and, wow, he was finished brutally by Paul Craig. Yeah,
it's almost like it's a finish that, like, I almost feel like, why don't more grapplers go for it when they got like that triangle? It was just gonna like play your head like the bongo. Like, it's just it was just beating him up.
Well, it did help that he had already, I believe, he'd broken his arm. No?
He snapped the arm out of place. Yeah.
Good Lord.
Apparently, it was a very clean break because they went out clubbing together that very same night. So and apparently Jamahal and Paul Craig are quite good friends now, which is it's nice to see, isn't it? I hope Jamahal has been training with Paul Craig for this fight, by the way, because actually, if you look at Paul Craig's matchup, Jamahal would be quite a good training partner for him, considering he is facing Johnny Walker. Yeah, I think that this is... I think if Jamahal goes into that fire, I don't see him coming out of it. Like, I think if it goes into that realm with Glover and he gets out that first round, I think Glover is going to be fired up, ready to go. And it's a difference between being taken down by Thiago Santos and there's a difference between and Glover Teixeira. I think that's fair to say.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, I was going to ask you about that because, of course, the riposte to the criticism we levied at Hill there in that loss to Paul Craig would be the fact he had to struggle against Thiago Santos. You know, it was wrestling. His tank was drained. You know, he worked. He got hit.
Yeah.
He was in, you know, a difficult place at times in that fight. But by the time the 4th round came around, he still had that power. He still had that poise. Yeah. Put Thiago away when the opportunity came.
For sure.
But you think it's different. 3 rounds with Glover. It's another level to Thiago Santos.
Yeah, well, particularly 5 rounds with Glover. It's a different level for sure. I'm going to ask this question now about Glover. He said that he wanted to fight Yuri and then retire. He's now said he's fighting for this and he's not going to retire. Let's say Glover wins. Crowd's cheering. He's in Brazil. He's home. He's putting the gloves down, isn't he? He's just like, thanks, lads, but I'll see you later. Or do you think he waits for that Prochazka rematch?
I think there is the competitor in him. You know, there must be for him to achieve what he's achieved at his age. You know, the endurance of his
43
career.
Years old, yeah.
It's incredible. And he looks so good in that Prochazka fight. There must be an element of him wanting to put himself, further entrench his position in the kind of pantheon of light heavyweight greats. Certainly beating Yuri Prochazka in a rematch would do that. So I'm not totally convinced he'll retire, but one, logically has to say that he should. But that same logic wouldn't have seen him become the light heavyweight champion at his age. So
I've also got to credit Glover for one of his secret weapons in a way, which is his cardio. Like, he just endlessly goes, grinding the whole way.
Well, he's like a diesel engine, he's chugging away. he's chugging. There's no big explosions, but there's a constant grind.
Yeah. It is hard to put him away in that way. I remember the Anthony Smith one where he just pulverized him later in that fight. I think it was the 3rd and the 4th where he really just sapped him of anything, and he got finished in the 5th. And I think that could be on the cards here. Tom, should we lay our predictions out for the listeners? Tom, what have you gone for?
Well, it was hard to disguise it, Joe. I can't look past that loss to Paul Craig. It was very recent. It's very proximate, and you're going to be facing that and so much more against Glover Teixeira. So I picked Glover to win by sub. I see a choke.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay, back take, RNC.
Yeah, I see dogged chugging of that diesel engine, and slowly but surely Jamahal Hill getting smothered.
Yeah. Also, Glover, if you want to, like, you can almost time it. It takes about a minute for him to do that flurry to get you on back into cage and go for that single leg. It takes about a minute or so. Tom, I have gone for a Jamahal Hill win by knockout. I thought I would just do something a bit wild and crazy here. So much so that your eyes are bugging out here. Why not? I thought. Power out of both hands. Could catch Glover coming in, rock him. Glover has been rocked many a time. Let's not pretend.
Joe,
like
that's part of the game plan. You don't understand. You don't understand.
That Paul Craig game plan that he's got going of knock me down and see what happens. Yeah, I thought, why not just go for a Jamahal Hill knockout win? Be the funniest outcome. So I thought I'd go with that.
That would be a tragic outcome. I can't believe what you're saying here. Glover getting knocked out in front of his home fans by a man who's never left America.
This is like when Stipe beat Verdum, but obviously not as good as those two.
Yeah, but Verdum he's not held by the fan base in the same.
What? No, Verdum is better than Glover ever was. Come on, Verdum. He beat Kane. He beat
Joe,
Fedor.
Think about the way he fell off.
Yeah, look at how Glover's going to fall off this Saturday, like when Jamahal Hill knocks him out. I can't believe I said that.
What are you doing?
All right, never mind.